mean, you mentioned bowling, and so I'm so interested to see what he's gonna be doing because he's in this like the land. He's right in the middle of everything right now, and of all racers in the track, he's definitely one of my favorite people that I like to watch, and I've been just so invested in his career since he was in high school. And I'm just I don't know like where he would go right now because it's like you're stuck right in the middle, I feel. Where it's do you try to drop down to the 1 and the 2 and see if you're able to, get the speed there where he hasn't quite been able to match? Do you try to go up to the 400 and try to go up against a lot of those other big dogs that's in there? Or I mean, shoot, I mean, I'd be interested, like, do you go back into that long jump like phase thing? Like, I know he had qualified like for he hit the world standard, I think it was back in 2021. And the only event he hit the world standard in at that point, if I remember correctly, was the long jump. And I think the reason he didn't go to the Olympics or the World Championships that year was because he didn't make the final in USA's. There's only 3 people that hit it. I think it was Dendy, Harrison, and Boling, but even he didn't make the final, so they didn't take him because I think Rashawn Gray won it that year, but he didn't. Yeah, Rayvon, but he didn't have the standard, so they took Javon instead because he did have the standard. And so if he had gotten the standard, he probably would have gone. Or if he had made the final, he probably would have gone. So I'm interested, like where he goes from here. What do you think? Like if you were his coach right now and trying to determine, like, hey, this is where we would go and where we should put our focus. What do you like? What are your thoughts on it?
I think the most money and success for Matthew Bowling in this sport will be in the 400. He has more top end than basically the entire field when it comes to American 400-meter runners. I think the knock on him for the most of his collegiate career was like usually in a close race he gets super tight, so that's obviously doesn't coincide with running successfully over 400 meters. We'll have to work on that, but I think the way that the field is it's deep, but it's not super elite. Like the 200-meter field is absurd right now in America. You have Noah, you have Kenny, you have Courtney, you have Fred, you have like you have an absurd amount of athletes that are running insanely fast. But there's a lot more variance with the 400, so I think he could be most successful there.
Yeah, I'd say when I look at the 400-meter field, there like any given day, like the final could be 8 different people, like on any given day. Like you're like there's just so many. Like I think back of like all the individuals that there are. I mean, obviously you have yourself. There's Quincy. There's the other Quincy. There's Vernon. Michael Cherry's back. I know you're gonna like. There's a tons and tons of people that are competing. There's always some college kids. We'll get into Genoa. There's too many Noahs. Something Noahs in this sport. We gotta stop that. By the way, there's tons of y'all. And so like there's so many people that are champion owls. So a lot of individuals that are competing for it. So just depends on who's going to be right in that day versus like to crack into that top 3 for a 200. I don't know. And also like, yeah, because with the 400, you're blessed with the fact that there's the mixed 4x4. Now, what's interesting is that now with the 100, is that going to open up because they have the mixed 4x1 that they're going to have? I don't know if that's really going to extend for the 200-meter runners, or it might a little bit more. But if you just make the final, you're an Olympian pretty much. Like if you're a 400-meter, if you make the 400-meter final, you're almost guaranteed to be an Olympian. There have been a few times where I think that it hasn't happened, but that's kind of where that's what you need to shoot for. So you're fighting over 8 spots rather than just 3 in the 200. So I think I agree. Like, I think I agree with you. Like, I think it's going to be too hard in that 100-meter field to crack. Now, I mean, he's immensely talented, and I think he could run, maybe a 9.9 low, 9.90, maybe something like that. But does 9.90 make an Olympic team? I mean, a slow maybe if it's a slow, if you like, you have to hope that everyone is on a bad day and you're on a good day, on your best day, like in the 200 meters. Like, is he going to be able to crack that field of Kenny, Noah, Arian Knighton? With I mean, Terrence Laird will I'm sure will be back and in the mix. Like there's so many other, like, are you going to be able to crack into that, Fred, into that field? I don't know. 800 or 400, he can crack into, just get into that final. You can do that. Like, you don't have to be at your literal number one, like one of one, to get into that final, where I think you have to be, and then have a little bit of help in the 1 and the 2. So and his popularity is also insane too. Like, every single time I've been at a meet, the people, like, whether he wins, loses, it doesn't matter. Like, the crowds follow Matthew Boling, like, no matter what. Like, kids love him, and, like, dating back to his years in high school, like, he's been a big name. I think he's one of the few people in track too where, even it even if he's not in that top echelon right now, not to say that he can't be, but he's not right now, like, he's still more well known than some other people that are in that echelon. So it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I think Matt is a very, very special talent. There's not too many athletes in this sport with gifts that he possesses, with the ability to run elite 1, 2, 4, and long jump. There's just, I can count on one hand probably the amount of athletes that can do what he does right now. So it's just a tough field, man. Like, you can be as good as you want in multiple things. What do they say? Jack of all trades, master of none. So I guess I'd kind of put him in that category as far as track and field goes, and that's not even a slight. Like, he's super talented.
Yeah, it's it's at the point where it's like, hey, let me see, was my great great grandfather from, like, Ireland or something? Let me see, like, yo, because you're too talent, like, yo, you've got the talent to be making all these teams and everything. And it stinks that the decathlon doesn't make enough money, because, like, I'd love to see him, like, if the decathlon, if, like, you were a decathlete and it made money, like, everyone's like, yo, why doesn't he do it? He doesn't do it because you don't get paid at all for that. That's why he
Right.
doesn't do it. But he's that type of athlete where I'm like, damn, I would love to see you do that, because he could probably be, one of the best right now, like, in that in that upper echelon, I think, because he's just crazy talented.